everyone. This is Jennifer Connell, Vice President of Weikert's Advisory Services. I'm here today with Steve Cryne, CERC. It's kind of a special episode, if you will, of Let's Make Work Happen. Hi, Steve. How are you? I know you're very busy lately.
I know, very, very busy. We've got our conference coming up in Calgary in just under 2 weeks. So yes, we are very busy, but always have time to talk about our research and the work that we do and our partnerships that make work happen.
Well, I want to get down to talking about the survey because it's been a very big effort on your part and a big initiative for CERC because it's been a long time in the making. This iteration was, I don't know how long it took, but it goes back many, many years. And it's been very valuable information in monitoring where the mobile workforce has been going. But it's been a few years since you've done this survey and a major effort, as I said. What was the primary goal and why was this so important to get this off the ground at this particular time?
Well, let me back up for a sec, if I could, in terms of painting the picture, in terms of why we are doing this work. The study initially started in 2011. It was repeated in 2014, then in 2017, and then we had the hiatus during the COVID years, and so we decided to do it in 2024. There were some reasons around the timing about that, but I'd like to put it into the bigger perspective in terms of what we are trying to do at CERC, and that is to drive thought leadership and is to gain a better understanding and insights about what motivates employees to work. Since 1995, the CERC has been conducting a policy survey, which basically asks employers, what are you providing to employees? But I feel that there has always been and continues to be a disconnect in terms of what employees are looking for, what they value, and perhaps what employers are providing. In terms of your question, I always have a long answer. You know that, Jen. We work long enough together, and that's because I'm very passionate about what we do. But, in terms of the timing now, so much changed during COVID. Where people work, what they were looking for in work. People's values changed during that time, more focus on family. And so we wanted to get a pulse on that. And I think we did in the survey. We certainly found that there's a great more emphasis, expectation, if you will, on the part of employees for those soft kinds of things that we talk about. So that was the way we did that at this time.
There's a lot of changes since before the pandemic. I mean, it's really been a critical time. Can you walk us through how the survey was actually structured? How deep are the questions? Who was surveyed? Who was the ideal population? How did you target that?
We commissioned Ipsos Public Research, and I want to say thank you to Ipsos during this, and also to the sponsors, Weikert being one of them, that made this work possible. It's a significant undertaking for any association to do this, and it is a professionally conducted survey by an independent third party. Ipsos does an awful lot of public polling on a regular basis, and so this was part of their omnibus survey that they do on a global basis. We surveyed 10,536 people in 19 countries, and that included both, quote, developed countries and some of the countries that are emerging in South America and Africa. We learned quite a lot from that. I'm told that the polling was conducted of large enough populations in each of the regions or the countries to give us a pretty good sample size of what people are looking for.
Were there any new questions that you asked or things added to this year's survey altogether?
Yeah, we did. We really wanted to get an understanding of the attitudes around remote work, about social geopolitical shifts, DE&I, sustainability, climate. Those were new questions. And I think I prefaced that a moment ago when I talked about, a lot changed during the pandemic. And so we wanted to try and get a pulse on what had happened during that time. And I think we did. I think we saw some shifts particularly around the flexibility and that work-life balance.
Mhm.
But as I was getting ready to chat with you, I took a look back at that. And one of the conclusions that we drew was that, things like flex work and quality of life, they're non-negotiable. If you look at kind of the big picture, we surveyed 10,500 people. 48% of them said, yeah, I could be convinced to go. 1 in 2, 50% said it doesn't matter what my employer lays on the table, in terms of an offer and the supports and so on, I wouldn't move at all. And so as we're looking at a shrinking global talent pool and the people that we are trying to move in our industry, number one, you've got a shrinking pool of people available. So number two, it's really important for corporations to strike the right balance. Yeah, they want to meet the business needs. That's critically important. But they also have to pay attention to what the expectations and the needs of the employee are. And that has shifted significantly over that 6-year period since the last time we conducted the survey. So there's a lot of focus on that in the report.
Is that what surprised you the most about the results, or was there anything in particular?
What surprised me most?
Yes.
Well, one of the questions that we ask in the survey is, what would it take you to move, etc. What are the factors? What are the things that your employer could provide? What is it that you're looking for in terms of, the country that you would go to? Is it accepting to immigrants? Does it have to a D&I practice and so on? And so one of the questions was, what are the countries that you would most likely prefer to, your top choices in terms of countries that you would like to relocate to? And the one thing that really surprised me was Australia's attractiveness dropped 6 points versus 2017. It wasn't even in the top 4. And since we've been doing this survey, Australia was in the top 4.
Wow.
There's probably a number of reasons for that. It could be cost of living, it could be immigration issues, could be just shift in global economic priorities. But that was a big surprise.
A big mix in a lot of research about different countries that people would be willing to move to. And it's been a big shakeup over the past year. That is a surprising finding. I mean, the results in this year's survey, I've taken a peek at them, and you've provided key findings to CERC members has been very eye-opening. There's a lot of robust results in here that mobility managers can use. So compared to the previous iterations of the same survey, which had mostly comparable questions, but different ones as well,
Yeah.
what were the biggest changes or shifts in employee attitudes towards mobility itself and relocation?
Well, if I could sum it up, and I can drill down a little bit more, is that mobility shifted from a career risk to a holistic lifestyle decision. And that's driven by security, flexibility, quality of life. Those are the key things that employees are looking for. Yes, the benefits, the money, but it's not all about those things. In fact, I think as we drill down, we'll find that more employees are willing to sacrifice some of those things in order, those things being the benefits and the remuneration, to where am I going to be able to raise my children, where we've got good health care. If I'm a visible minority, I know I'm going to be welcomed into the community. Those are the things that people are looking for today. And it's more open, but it's conditional. Yes, I'll go, but we have to get the conditions right. And areas like that companies can really look to would be things like temporary housing, for example. 75% of respondents in the survey said that was really important to them in terms of settling into the new destination. Well, we know that housing globally is a huge challenge. Most of the company policies that we're seeing, and we'll be releasing the 2025 CERC Relocation Policy Survey in the next week. They have a maximum of 30 days, right? So there are areas of disconnect between what employees are looking for, perhaps, and what employers are paying. So I think that for human resources, global mobility personnel, managers, leaders, I think that the results of the survey give us some really good insights in terms of how they should be looking at designing their policies. And I would say, and you and I have talked about this ad nauseum as we've been talking about policy and development of policy and our policy surveys, et cetera, about how the need to keep flexibility in place is really important, and show support for employees. There was a question that I wish we would have asked, and that was around, lump sums and the provision of lump sums. Next time maybe we'll include something like that. But the coalition today, the Coalition for Associations of Global Mobility, we did a webinar, and it was on the sustainability work that we've been doing. And one of the key points I thought came out of the discussion, not necessarily about sustainability, but about looking after and caring for your employees, was this idea that we're just going to give you, $10,000 and you go look after your own needs, Jen. That's really a bad message from the employer, right? It's not demonstrating that you care about your employees, perhaps. And apologies to anybody that's watching the program that, has a strong belief about lump sums. I understand, how flexible they are, or how it makes it a lot easier for the company. But again, I just draw it back to, what employees are really looking for, right?
Right. And also what companies are trying to accomplish with the mobility managers with their program, right? Because while there is a place for lump sums, mobility managers seem to be most acutely in tune with taking care of their employee and the challenges around wellness, and being able to provide that. It's that balance that they're always trying to achieve. And how do you do it all with the mobility program when they're also being challenged with containing costs, right?
Yeah, that's a subject for another day.
I know. So I'm glad you're saving it for the next iteration of the survey. And based on the findings, so what changes has CERC or its members started to implement? I know you referenced our biannual survey earlier, but anything there that you can share?
Well, early in the analysis as we're going through, we have the regular suspects about what are you doing with exceptions and housing provisions and so on. I think what we're seeing is a little bit of a narrowing, trying to maintain this balance between meeting employee expectations and delivering the business results. In the 23 survey, I think there was more of an emphasis on that caring for the employee, making the employee experience journey. I'm kind of gleaning from the results of the survey this year that maybe that's shifting a little bit. There's a little bit more balance between employee experience and meeting the needs of the business. But we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of discussion that's going to happen at our conference where we'll be diving into some of these issues in a lot more detail. It'll be interesting to hear from delegates around, some of these topics.
Yeah. So, who do you feel is the ideal person reading the survey, getting this result, because they are so rich? Who's it useful to? How could a mobility manager or director use this information to make changes to their program? And how do you see these insights influencing mobility strategies?
Well, I think it's obviously organizations that have programs beyond just domestic. Although we can glean some things out of the survey in terms of what Canadians or U.S. citizens might be looking for. But it predominantly looks to organizations that have global, truly global mobility programs. It gives them data in terms of their ability to drill down in a number of different areas. The survey is set up by region. There's demographic information, in terms of the respondents, their industry, age, income, education. And so, if you're, say, in the mining industry and you want to know what's going to motivate a young mining professional to pick up sticks and move, to South America, there's a lot of insight. There's a lot of information in the survey that could inform the decision.
I see this as being a very strategic way for mobility to work more directly with their talent acquisition or talent development.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not the ultimate source of information, but I think it informs people to think about, okay, what are some of those factors that our talent management group should be looking at?
I think one of the challenges that mobility leaders face, probably now more than ever, is being able to get buy-in from stakeholders in order to make decisions. And I think I can see this data helping to support that, because it's not just benchmarking against other programs, which I think your biannual survey does do very well, but this is showing it from the employees through their eyes. And I think that it's giving them, with both sets of information, they get a 360 view on how to make those decisions. So how can, so tell us this. So for organizations and for mobility leaders who are hopefully tuning into this video, why is it important to invest in this kind of research? And what can they gain from purchasing the full set of results? You mentioned they can get they can see it from different industry perspectives. Anything else that they can expect?
Country level insights, demographic breakdowns, industry breakdowns, clear read on what the top motivators are for individuals, what they're looking for in terms of the locations that they're moving to. I think that is critical. That's a critical part of this. And, the opportunity for career development, I think that has to really be taken into consideration, that employers are looking for that. It's part of my career development in the organization. I think it also gives an advantage to devise data-driven policies, which then provide a competitive advantage for the organization. Let's face it, companies are in a race to obtain, recruit, retain their talent, and this is one more tool that they can utilize in order to fulfill that objective. One of the other great things about the survey, and we've had a intern working with us over the summer, and that's to develop interactive dashboards that can help you take a much deeper dive into the results of the survey and customize them to the things that are important to your organization or to your industry.
I like that. I was waiting for you to bring that up. I've seen the dashboard. It's really impressive. I think everybody's going to really enjoy seeing that, because it's not just reading through the information. They're going to see it in a visual perspective that will help to inform those decisions. It's nice to see that pictorial. That's great. So, well, how can people access the survey? I know we're going to provide the link at the bottom of the screen for people to be able to access it.
So, follow the link on the bottom of the screen. I'll also have my contact info in there if anybody has any further follow-up questions or would like to receive a briefing. We'd be delighted to do that. So thanks for that opportunity, Jen, to talk about the survey.
I also want to ask, how can companies engage with CERC? I always want to put this out there. CERC has been the first and foremost resource for a lot of Canadian organizations. You provide so much great data and support to Canadian headquartered organizations who have mobile workforce. But do you have to be a Canadian organization to access this information?
No.
Because I feel the Ipsos survey is highly global.
Yeah. No, you don't have to be a Canadian-based organization in terms of belonging to CERC. We have a lot of U.S.-based members. And if you've got an interest in global mobility, CERC is a wonderful community to be a part of. As I said at the outset, our objective is really to elevate the importance of global mobility in organizations. We have to get organizations thinking that global mobility is not just a transaction. It's not just about moving somebody from point A to point B. It's about moving ideas and creators and innovators. And the importance of that cannot be understressed. We need to make sure that we're promoting the strategic business advantage of global mobility. It has to be seen as a business imperative, not just a transaction that's handled off the corner of somebody's desk in finance or human resources. Really, today, if companies are serious about trying to get the talent that's needed and keep that talent, and if global mobility is one of the tools, then they have to look at it in a more strategic manner than they have done in the past.
That's great. Well, Steve, thank you very much. I can't let you go, though, because at the end of our videos, we always ask the same question. I'm going to ask it of you. Steve, how do you make work happen?
How do I make work happen? 3 things. I call them the 3 Ps: people, passion, and purpose. And when I look at our industry, that's what we have. And a lot of people ask me, well, how did you get into this industry and what motivates you and why you love it? And for me, it's about building the workforce of the future. That's what I started. That was the journey I took on 20 odd years ago. And I'm still pursuing that journey. And I think, that's what we're about, is building the workforce of the future. And I hope that the work that we do and some of the ideas that we've shared this afternoon take us a little bit of a step on that journey.
Great. Well, Steve, that's a great answer. Thank you very much for spending some time with me today. Really excited about this survey. It's one of a kind, and you put so much effort into getting it off the ground. It was no small feat, and all of the work that you do to promote research and for companies to be able to mobilize their employees, getting great ideas out there. I'm looking forward to a wonderful conference.
All right.
And future research with you. So
okay. Safe travels to Calgary. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.